Okay, guys, so we're reacting to the advanced tech of the Roman Empire by Lost in Time. So go subscribe and watch his video too if you want to watch that instead.
This may look like an ordinary clay jar, but inside it hides a mechanism 1800 years ahead of its time. When you add a coin to the jar, it automatically dispenses just the right amount of wine or holy water. But how did a vending machine exist during the Roman Empire, long before the modern version was even imagined? While most people know the Roman Empire for its infrastructure and strong leadership, the empire also quietly developed technologies so advanced they still impress us to this day. In this video,
It's like a lot of people think that these like old civilizations, bro, like they were like stupid or something, but they literally had pretty much the exact same brain that we do now. There isn't really any difference between our brains and their brains. So if they came to like our current like reality, they wouldn't even be like they would adapt like just fine. These people are also like super intelligent and like they also made like a lot of like extremely like cool mechanical stuff. They just didn't have like all the modern like tools and technologies that we do now. But like working with the technologies that they did have like back then, they still made like incredible things and like incredible like engineering marvels, and like you can just tell just from like all like the sculptures and like the engineering of the buildings that were built in that time. It's like insanely high quality.
we're uncovering the advanced tech of the Roman Empire, all from completely automated doors to self-healing concrete that modern scientists only recently could explain. To understand how advanced technology was under the Roman Empire, we need to meet one.
You know what's funny about the concrete thing actually? The Romans actually never wrote down the recipe for their Roman concrete, or it was like lost. They just thought, oh, it's so obvious or something like that, and it's like they never like thought to like write it down or something. So we didn't know about like the recipe on like how they made it for so long, and then like just recently we actually were able to recreate that using like some tools that I'm sure that he's going to explain later on.
Man, hero of Alexandria, an engineer, inventor, the Tony Stark of the Roman Empire, if you will. Hero was born Greek, but lived in Alexandria, a part of the Roman Empire
Bro's
at the
name is
time.
Hero.
His inventions were way ahead of their time, and it's hard to believe Hero isn't as well known as Leonardo da Vinci. Some of his most astonishing creations are hidden in plain sight, just as seen in the technology behind this Roman temple. A priest walks up to the entrance. He pauses before the heavy bronze doors, then lights a small fire on an altar beside the entrance. Without a single touch from human hands, the temple doors slowly swing open. This isn't magic. It's a part of Hero's impressive design. Beneath the altar, water and air were sealed in a hidden container. When the fire was lit, it heated the air, which expanded and built up pressure. The pressure pushed the water through a pipe into a different container. As this container was filled with water, the increased weight pulled it down. The container was connected to two ropes tightened around two poles, and when turned, the doors would open automatically.
This is a cool invention, but like this would probably take like 20 minutes just to open the door. I feel like it might not be as useful as it's being portrayed.
When the fire was put out, the air cooled, the pressure dropped, and the water flowed back to its original container through negative pressure. The doors slowly closed as the system reset itself. And if you think this was impressive, just wait until you see how the Romans could tell time by just using water and gravity. But first, let's see how the Romans almost entered the Industrial Revolution nearly 2,000 years before it actually happened. Rome changed human history forever, but this invention might have been their greatest missed opportunity: the steam engine. An invention so powerful it would later ignite the Industrial Revolution and reshape the modern world. And yet, the Romans dismissed it. Behind the invention, of course, was Hero of Alexandria.
You know, I heard that someone made a steam engine like way before modern creation of it, and it was they literally used it to like rotate shawarma or something like that. And it was like there's so many technologies that we see these days which are like extremely useful and like extremely interesting, but we just haven't like realized that this technology can be applied somewhere else to have like a really great impact or like a greater effect than it does like right now. And like so many businesses have literally been just like, I'm taking this and I'm taking this technology and then putting it in somewhere else. And like so many people have become like extremely wealthy just doing that. And like imagine if this what they're talking about had been actually like used effectively, like when it was actually created.
His many creations, the Aeolipile stands out, and it was in fact the first documented reaction steam turbine in history. The machine consisted of a hollow metal sphere with one nozzle on each side, mounted on pivoting tubes. Beneath it was a sealed kettle lifted from the ground. The purpose was to heat the kettle from below. When the fire was lit, the water inside the kettle boiled and the steam rose up through the two pipes, all the way into the sphere. With nowhere to escape, the steam would have to go through the nozzles, forcing the sphere to spin. It worked, a functioning steam engine in the 1st century, something that wasn't reinvented until 1712. But people saw it as a spectacle rather than a machine for work.
Dude, they could have literally taken this technology and like tried to make this as part of like part of wheels, like it's spinning like a wheel would spin. And if somebody had thought of that and added that to like a wheel, dude, we could have had like cars or something like way before cars or trains were even invented. Like you just have to take technology that we already have and see where you can apply it to suit a better purpose.
Unknowingly, he had stumbled upon the core principle that would shape the world into the modern era. But the next invention on the list was completely unexplained for even longer, and scientists couldn't figure it out until 2023. There are multiple examples of modern concrete structures that have crumbled after just a few decades, yet some of the most remarkable Roman buildings still stand nearly 2,000 years later. But how? The answer almost sounds like magic. They used self-healing concrete. MIT researchers worked to solve this mystery for years, and when they finally figured it out, they realized something incredible. What seemed like low-quality mixing of the concrete turned out to be very intentional and actually the key to its incredible lifespan. Because Roman engineers weren't just creating regular concrete.
Did anybody actually think that because of the shitty mixing, it lasted like 1,000 years? Like, is that really true? I don't know.
They combined volcanic ash, volcanic tephra, sand, quicklime, and water. But the materials used weren't the only unconventional part of the process. They mixed the concrete under high temperatures, a method called hot mixing. Water is the most common cause of weaknesses in regular concrete, but the Roman mixture didn't just resist water, it reacted with it. When cracks formed and moisture seeped in, chunks of lime inside the concrete dissolved and triggered a chemical reaction, creating a calcium-saturated solution that flowed into the cracks, essentially gluing the structure back together. When MIT researchers recreated the Roman concrete, they caused damage to the structure and added water to the cracks. The results were astonishing. The cracks completely healed all by themselves within only 2 weeks. This allowed Romans to break free from basic stone and brick structures, unlocking architectural design.
This is also when it wasn't like based on monetary like effectiveness building would be, or like now we see stuff just breaking down in a few decades, but like they didn't really care about how much money it cost probably, and they just really wanted it to be like high quality. And like nowadays we don't have a lot of that, and it's like is like the most cost effective material instead of the best material. And we can literally see that because some of these structures have lasted for like thousands of years, and that's just like insane. And also, like, how did nobody else think of self-healing concrete using like a reaction to water? I don't know about that. And like one last thing is like, wouldn't like every structure like expand all the time, because like the cracks make it so that the material like expands and then it gets filled, but not like it doesn't get like stuck together again. All the structures are like slowly expanding. It would be interesting to see like the difference between the size they were when they were created and like the size now, like way later.
That seemed impossible for the time, like the Pantheon, which is still the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. A building so advanced, modern engineers still study it today. The same self-healing concrete was used in Rome's vast aqueduct system, carrying something as essential as water over 400 kilometers across complicated terrain. Something else that's essential is time. But how did they keep track of time before electricity? Well, they of course used the sun. But this method of timekeeping had many flaws. To find the solution to this problem, we have to move even further back in time. Actually, even before the Roman Empire. But this invention turned out to be so influential, I had to include it in the video. It was Ctesibius, a Greek inventor living in Alexandria, who set out to solve this problem. One cloudy day, Ctesibius wondered what time it was and went outside to check the sundial. But without the sun, the sundial was useless. So Ctesibius came up with a better idea. He designed a clock so advanced it would take history centuries to catch up. Although Ctesibius lived in Egypt before the Roman Empire ruled in Alexandria, his invention greatly influenced the Romans. Without the luxury of electricity, Ctesibius designed the first automated clock powered only by gravity and flow. The clock had two containers. The first container was filled up to give the second container a constant flow of water. As the level water rose, it pushed a float that moved a dial marking the current time on a chart. At the end of the day, the water would reach the top of the container, but instead of spilling over, the excess water would leave the container through a siphon, which reset the clock and made it track a new day. But to Ctesibius, this was a simple mechanic that only solved part of the problem. He knew that seasons would affect the length of sun time throughout the day. To account for this, the water would move through the siphon and spill over to a water wheel. With the smart use of gears, the time chart would rotate to adjust for a new day. This made Ctesibius' clock incredibly accurate for its time. If you want to learn more about this ancient clock...
That's actually super genius though. But I've never heard of this clock before. Was this actually widely used, or is it just something that was made and nobody cared about it again after that? Because that seems really unfortunate, right?
Feeding some of the largest cities in ancient Europe took more than just farming. It took serious engineering. The demand for food led the Romans to create a factory, 1,500 years before the word factory even existed. In the south of France, archaeologists uncovered the remains of a massive flour mill complex, capable of producing up to 25 tons of flour each day. It had 16 water wheels, all lined up downhill, powered by flowing water from 2 aqueducts. This wasn't some clever village invention. This was industrial-scale food production, maybe the first production line in history. The wheels worked in sequence, one powering the next, creating a continuous chain of motion. Each water wheel turned heavy millstones inside each building. Grain was poured into the millstones. The stones ground it into flour before workers bagged the finished product and transported it to the city. It took an estimated 30 people to run the whole production. That's nearly 1,000 kilos of flour per worker, every single day.
I think the internet made stuff like this way more accessible. If someone creates some new technology or a new process, they can share it with everyone instead of having it be spread word of mouth and maybe nobody talks about it or something like that. A lot of these ideas and inventions, they existed in the past, but they just aren't talked about widely. So there's so much knowledge that could be missed. So, with the internet, you can share anything you discover with the whole world, and it's way more reach and spread information and knowledge so much better. And I feel that's one of the most amazing things that humanity has made.
Not every Roman invention was huge in scale. This is a Coca-Cola cap. And no, Romans didn't invent Coca-Cola. But behind it hides a recent discovery so small, it's hard to believe they could make it without advanced machinery. In 2023, German dectorist Konstantin Fried made his biggest discovery to date. In a quiet field in Petershagen-Friel, 3 hours south of Hamburg, Konstantin discovered a lock. But not just any lock, a Roman lock, and it was made of gold. The mechanism was mostly intact, even after 1,600 years underground. Insert a key, turn it, and the internal mechanism would release a chain, very similar to how a modern padlock operates. That is impressive on its own, but when it's half the size of a Coca-Cola cap, it's just unbelievable that it was made without modern technology. This really shows the high level of craftsmanship the Roman locksmiths were capable of. All of that engineering miniaturized. The lock was likely used on a small chest.
Did they even have like tools that they could use to make this stuff, little things that like pinchers or whatever that you can use to like hold and like move stuff, or did they just do these with the fingers? Because like if they did it with fingers only, bro, like that would be so insane.
Or a jewelry box. And thanks to a surviving chain link, experts were able to recreate a historically accurate version, 4 times larger than the original. It's the smallest Roman lock ever discovered, and Hero of Alexandria, and sometimes it feels like he could see the future, because he also built what was effectively the world's first vending machine. But instead of dispensing soda or snacks, it served something far more sacred: holy water and wine. By inserting a coin, wine would start pouring
Hey, that's what they need nowadays, bro.
by itself. But how did this work long before electricity? When you add a coin to the top of the jar, the coin lands in a pan, directly linked to a counterweight. Gradually, the coin tilts a lever, opening a valve. Once the valve opens, wine pours out and fills up your cup. The coin then slides off the pan and into the bottom of the jar, again closing the valve and stopping the flow of wine. It was a truly genius invention for the time, but the vending machine didn't stay popular for long. It wasn't until almost 1800 years later
Hey, you keep saying like for the time, but like I feel like that isn't even like that crazy of like of technology. I feel like
Hero's idea
like it's like pretty smart, but it's not like insanely unexpected.
was revisited once again, first with a newspaper dispenser in 1822, followed by postcard and chewing gum dispensers a few.
Pretty sure like toilets use like that same principle with like the valve, like it opens up and then until the water gets down to a certain level, then it like closes automatically, which is pretty cool.
Years later. Today, vending machines are a global business and a significant revenue source for brands around the world. The Romans
Yeah, another part of the business stuff that I was talking about, bro. Like sometimes the technology, it's not the right time. A technology that you create now, like it might be super popular in the future, but just right now it's like not the right time when people actually like want it.
were way ahead of their time, and it's hard to believe how they created all of this with such limited resources. Speaking of making magic with limited resources, check out my other videos where I break down how they make.
Hey, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe to Lost in Time and to me as well. And yep, see you in the next one.